Hello everyone and welcome back to USA Hunter Coin, where we explore the fascinating history behind coins, their designs, stories and values. Today we're turning our attention to a humble but historically rich piece, the 1962 United Kingdom halfpenny coin, often referred to simply as the 1/2d or halfpenny. This coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II with the inscription Elizabeth II de Gratia Regina FD, and on its reverse the iconic sailing ship design. We'll cover its historical context, design features, mintage and rarity, condition and value, and why collectors might take an interest. Historical context first, some context. The United Kingdom used the pre-decimal currency system until 1971, pounds, shillings, and pence. In that system, the halfpenny, 1/2d, was worth half of a penny, or 1/480 of a pound sterling. The 1962 halfpenny comes from an era when the British coinage still bore the Latin legends around the monarch's bust, Dei Gratia Regina FD, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. By 1962 the UK economy was changing, inflation was modest but steady, and small denomination coins still played a role in everyday commerce. The halfpenny may seem inconsequential today, but back then it had purchasing power in daily use. Design and specifications. Let's look at the design and specifications of the coin. A denomination, halfpenny, 1/2d, year, 1962. Composition, bronze, as was typical for that denomination at the time. Weight, approximately 5.67 g, some sources list 5.60 g. Diameter, about 25.5 mm. Obverse, young bust of Queen Elizabeth II facing right, with the legend Elizabeth II de Gra Brit Omn Regina FD, Elizabeth II. By the grace of God, Queen of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith. Reverse, features the galleon ship, often taken to represent Sir Francis Drake's flagship the Golden Hind, sailing left to right. Above is the wording halfpenny, and below the date. Edge, plain, no reading. The ship design was introduced in 1937 for the halfpenny and continued until the pre-decimal halfpence was withdrawn. Mintage and rarity. According to the price guide data, the mintage for the 1962 halfpenny, KM number 896 in the cataloging system, was approximately 41,779,000 coins minted for circulation. That is a very large number by numismatic standards, which means that the coin is relatively common in circulated condition. Because of this high mintage, the coin is not highly rare. As some collectors point out, you often find them in change or at car boot sales. For example, one collector on Reddit commented, "You often get them in 5p boxes at village car boot sales." I'd argue that 5p would be overpaying. So the bottom line, the 1962 halfpenny is plentiful in standard circulated grades, which means that for most collecting purposes it is an affordable and accessible piece. Condition, grading and collector interest. Even though the coin is common in standard condition, condition still matters a lot for value, especially if you find one in uncirculated or near-proof condition. When assessing the coin, consider the level of wear on the Queen's bust and the ship design, the detail in the legend and rim, the color of the bronze, brown versus red, brown versus full red, any marks, scratches, toning or environmental damage, whether there are any special varieties or mint errors, though for this specific coin no major recognized scarce variety is noted in general literature. Guides list values by grade. For example, one resource shows very good, VG around pound 0.05 fine, F around pound 0.15 extremely fine, EF around pound 0.50 about uncirculated, AUNC around pound 1 uncirculated, more than 2 pounds plus. Additionally, graded uncirculated examples, especially in red bronze condition, will command significantly higher premiums. One listing offered a choice UNC/NBU 1962 halfpenny at a much larger price. One thing to emphasize in your video, because the coin is so common, it's not likely to fetch huge sums unless in exceptional condition. But, for collectors, it is a good piece to include in a British coinage collection due to its date, design, and place in the pre-decimal era. Value. What could it be worth now? To the question, what is this coin worth? The answer depends heavily on condition. For typical circulated examples, if heavily worn, maybe only a few pence or cents in value, the equivalent of maybe 5 pence or so. For decent circulated condition, good detail, but obvious wear, expect maybe 50 pence to pound 1.00. For about uncirculated or very lightly circulated, 1 pound to 2 pounds plus is realistic. For mint state/ungraded/unusual condition with full detail and excellent strike and color, considerably more, possibly tens of pounds or more, depending on dealer, grading, market, though not likely thousands unless there's a unique variety or ultra-high grade. For reference, one listing for this coin showed a nice circulated coin for US $2.84, circa pound 2, and another listed one for US $59 graded MS65. Therefore, if you hold a typical 1962 halfpenny, an average where you should not expect enormous returns, but rather modest collector value. If you have one in top grade condition, it becomes more interesting. Why collect it? Historical and numismatic significance. Why might someone include this coin in their collection? Here are several reasons. It represents the pre-decimal era of British coinage, before 1971, and thus has historical relevance. The design is handsome. The bust of Elizabeth II and the ship motif are iconic for the era. It is accessible, for many, in terms of cost, thereby making it a good entry point into British coin collecting. It allows collectors to trace the evolution of the halfpenny denomination, from earlier issues through to decimalization. Condition pieces, especially in high grades, still have numismatic interest and can appreciate if taken care of well. For your YouTube audience, you might highlight that sometimes value comes not just from the coin itself but from the story behind it, the era of Queen Elizabeth's early reign, the transition in coin design, and the shift in Britain's economy and currency system. Tips for collectors and viewers. Here are some practical tips your viewers might appreciate. 1. Check condition carefully. Look at wear on the bust and ship. Details on the legend and rim are helpful indicators. Point 2. Color matters. Bronze coins often turn brown with age. Red or red-brown specimens are more desirable. Point 3. Authenticity. While this coin is common, always check for obvious tampering or cleaning that can reduce value. Point 4. Storage. Store coins in a stable, dry environment. Avoid acidic holders or PVC flips that might damage the surface. Point 5. Grading. If you believe you have an uncirculated or exceptional specimen, consider professional grading or at least comparing with high-grade specimens. Point 6. Market awareness. Values change with market demand, condition, and grade. Use multiple resources to assess value. Point 7. Hold expectations. For common years like 1962, don't expect huge windfalls unless condition is very high. But enjoy the coin for its historical and design. VA conclusion. In conclusion, the 1962 UK halfpenny is a modest but meaningful coin from the era of Queen Elizabeth II. With over 41 million produced, it is plentiful, but this does not mean it is without value or interest. It tells a story of British coinage just prior to decimalization, it carries the Latin legends and ship motif of the time, and it is accessible to many collectors. While most examples will trade for modest sums, £0.05 to £2 for circulated condition, higher grade uncirculated specimens can fetch more. It is a fine addition to a collection of British or pre-decimal coins, and a great conversation piece for a YouTube video. If you happen to find one in superb condition, with original strike and attractive color, you might hold a piece that stands out above the many others. Thank you for watching/listening. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1962 halfpenny, please like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of upcoming coin history videos. If you have one of these coins and would like to share your condition or story, drop a comment below. Until next time, happy collecting!